Welcome to the podcast series Talking Success, connecting the global FinTech community. I'm Stacey Jafta, and today I'll be chatting with Povilas, Chief Customer Officer of TransferGo. TransferGo strives to make the world a fairer place for migrants by providing tailored, more affordable financial services that allows their hard-earned money to go further. Povilas, welcome.
Hi, it's very nice to be here. Hi, Stacey, and hi, everyone.
Thanks for joining me on this episode. How you been?
Good. Actually looking forward to my annual skiing holidays, so feeling very excited. So everything's just fine at the moment.
Awesome. Where are you going?
This year we are going to Italy, Livigno. This is the first time there, so I hope it's going to be nice.
Oh, sounds beautiful. Povilas, before we jump in, I would just like to hear more about your career journey and just essentially how you became Chief Customer Officer of TransferGo.
So I think I should start that my career path is, I think it's very common for people that work in the customer services area. So I started as a customer support representative while studying. And then from there, I took different career opportunities, different roles, and etc. So I started working in outsourced customer services company that provides a customer support for various companies. So it was a Transcom Worldwide, and there I worked with the different brands. From customer support specialist, moved to the internal trainer, onboarding new employees, and etc. And then I ended the last year being as a training and quality manager, where I had an opportunity to talk with many different companies because I was responsible to deliver, the quality of customer support the way they imagined that. So that was, I think, a vital experience for me. And this is where I start to understand that, customer services is definitely an area that I want to further work. And after that, I moved to the telecommunications industry. So I worked for 5 years in Telia company. It also was very exciting times. Like at that time in Lithuania, we had one of the biggest merge of the companies. Like one of the broadband company called TIO connected with a mobile company called Omnitel at that time and became Telia. So I was leading at that point customer support department. So that was quite a journey, I can say. And then after 5 years working in telecommunication industry and a bit more, I would say in a corporate setup, I took a challenge to join a TransferGo, a very different product and also a very different company as such. And right now I'm 2.5 years working at TransferGo.
That's so awesome. Speaking to so many different businesses you mentioned earlier and just learning their different styles, was there any business specifically that stood out that helped you mold your method and approach in customer service?
I think I would start that talking with many different businesses, what you understand that, customer experience, even though like every company says, I never met anybody who would say that their company is not focused on the customer, but it's a very different story, with each company. So I worked with the brands who said that, customer experience equals reading the script, where, your people are actually get paid for saying specific words. I talked to the companies who said that a good customer support is a conversation that lasts, no more than 2 minutes because, well, eventually it costs more for a company if we speak longer with the customers. So, and also I talked with the companies where they said like the customer support is where you support people when you provide the help. Yeah. So I think for me, those years working in the shared customer service really helped me to understand, the way I see what is a good customer support and, what are the fundamental building blocks to provide a useful and a good customer experience when the people simply need help. But I think what really stands out for me, and it might sound a bit, cheap, but I do believe that we stand out with the TransferGo, and that's why I joined the company. So there was already a very good fundamentals. After working as well in the telco industry, which is already a big company, it's like the customer support, combines hundreds of people divided with the different responsibilities and etc. what I like there is enabling people to make decisions, to actually help them to focus on the customer rather than following procedures and etc. And I think here at TransferGo, what I found is very different story. So when I joined, still customer support, it was like almost 3 times smaller team than we are today. But I found people who were not instructed what to say, but rather they were told, what this company is about, why we exist, and the simple task they had is to support customers. And then from there, I think I was joking that the first goal I had for myself is not to ruin the culture, and then to help scale company while maintaining that level of support. So my answer would be, I think that from my experience, like the current experience definitely stands out as a bit different approach to customer services than in the previous 8 to 9 years.
What does your training look like? What does that onboarding process look like? Where you get your generic call centers where they have a script, as you mentioned, where that is not the case with you?
What I learned through the years working in the customer service is that it's not much different than any different role. So people join having an interest to do their best. People want to be known for doing a good job and etc. So what you do, so when the people join, first of all, you need to provide the knowledge about the product. So this is what we are focusing. So when the people are joining TransferGo, we are providing the knowledge, for the product that we have, about our customers, who are our customers, who are using this product, what is the purpose of it, and etc. Then we definitely need to go through some of the procedures because people need to know when things happen, what is the best approach to help customers. But what we don't train people what to say. During the trainings we cover our values. As an example, be your best, own it, and etc. And then we bring them, I would say, a guidebook stating that, here what we expect from you is, first of all, be useful for the people that need help. We say that, we want you to sound positive. That means we don't want to silver line things. Like if there is if the customers has a challenge, they do have a challenge, and if it's hurtful, for them, our job is to help. It's not to silver line, but yet to stay positive. So that means we focus on what we can do. We focus on what we can change. We focus how we can solve the things. But that's it. We don't give them, scripts or guidelines. And I think that's part of what I believe that, makes companies stand out with the customer support is that authenticity. When you connect with the person and you feel that there is a person, it's not a company, it's not a huge machine that you were talking with. It's rather, a Stacy who's willing to help me. Just to wrap up, so our training program could be divided into 2 parts. So the one is the knowledge, like the skills that people need to learn, and then making sure that people understand the context of the cultural values and etc.
How do you then measure success? So you get some businesses, as you mentioned, that measure it by how quick the call was. Are there any numbers your agents need to reach? Is there a rating at the end of the call? What does that look like?
It's a very good question. So of course, we measure things as most of the companies. So if you are saying, we don't, by saying that, I'm not saying that you should not follow KPIs. So as an example, we do believe that we are working, in financial areas. So, here at TransferGo, we aim to provide the best possible services for migrant community to help them to move money faster, more convenient, and etc. So the speed really matters. So when the customer has a question, we do measure how fast we react. So that's one of the measurement. We do follow, how much time it takes us to pick up the phone call, how much time it takes us to reply to the email, how much time it takes us to reply to the chat. Then second thing, what we measure is customer experience. So that means how useful we are. So at the end of every single conversation we have with the customers, we do ask, how would they rate the support? Did they find it useful? So I think this is the key metrics that we follow. And this is where we want our people to focus on. And then, of course, there are more business KPIs than we follow just to understand how productive we are, but we do not have a goal for employee to reach specific number of supported customers and etc. Because it really depends what kind of customers you were supporting, which questions you were taking, and etc. And in my personal opinion, it doesn't really make sense on individual level to set a goal to have certain amount of calls, emails, or etc. It just puts the focus from customer, back to the numbers.
Do you guys also have a chatbot or an automation in communication for the business?
Yes, we do. We do have a chatbot. So that's one of the automations that we worked very hard for the last 18 months, I would say. So currently, chatbot covers approximately 70% of the whole chats that customers are contacting us. And we did it. I do want to believe with a bit different approach that might other companies take. So we didn't set a goal to deflect, customer request or save hours.
Yeah.
We said we still focus on the speed, and there are some questions that customers don't need to wait in line because it's straightforward.
Yeah.
We can follow up, we can understand what is the question, and we just provide, either the general guidance or even a very personal answer. So this is what we try to solve with the chatbot. It's just to make sure that, people don't need to wait in line when they don't need to.
Is there an option of just saying, I need to speak to somebody now and I do not want to go through a chatbot?
Yes. And it's very simple. So if you would write, give me an agent, instantly we would give you an agent. If you would start to loop, meaning that you asked 2 times the same question in a similar way, we would give you an agent because that indicates that the bot is not, supporting you the way you expected. So we kept very, very simple, very easy and straightforward approach to get a human because at the end of the day, as I mentioned, I think that what makes company to stand out, when you need that the personal touch, personal support, that you would get it very easily and conveniently.
We both know there are certain digital banks that don't have an option to speak to an agent. There's only a chatbot, if that. What is your opinion on this?
Well, my personal opinion, it's the easiest way to approach a customer support. You just simply block all the ways to reach a human. You build, FAQs, chatbots, and etc. And then you have less problems because customers don't reach you. But I don't believe that's not the way to help company grow. So as an example, we are a growing company. So one of the goals that we have in customer support is not only to support customers, but also use those insights. We use the data, use what we hear from the customers to feed the organization and make sure that, when we improve products, we actually do that based on what customers are saying. So I think, by just creating a flows where it's impossible to talk with the companies are using very, very precious information and insights that customers could provide.
Scott, could you design a video game?
I could make you a hypothetical one. If I took some random genres, mechanics, maybe blended them together, and created a new hypothetical game.
Now that would make a great podcast.
Undoubtedly.
So what would you make? Something original and exciting? A Dark Souls city builder? A co-op roguelike?
Everything. All of that. We could use the Nemesis system from and put it in a first-person shooter. And we could have a loot system with survival mechanics and motion controls. And maybe you could, save a kingdom from some out-of-control toasters. What about party?
Catch the Gaming Blender on all your favourite podcast platforms.
Good customer support is important, but even more so when money is involved, as we mentioned.
Yes.
How do you believe your role feeds into the bigger vision of TransferGo?
First of all, when thinking about this podcast, and about what I would like to share, I was thinking about the question. So, what is my role, and what I could bring to the listeners, and I ended up with a question, from a bit different side, is how still, when we have customer services, like as organizations, usually are the biggest. So that means you have a lot of people talking with your customers and etc. And how still a question, do we need a senior leadership person being represented in the room together with the marketing, product, IT infrastructure, and etc. So I do believe that the customer services bring much qualitative, like better qualitative understanding of what customers are saying, what pain points do they have. If we are launching the new market, so we can easily pick up, what are customers saying in that market, where do they find our product to use very easily, where do they struggle the most, and etc. So I see my mission in the company as being a customer advocate, because on the top of usual customer services, we also take care of all the channels where customers leave a feedback, starting with a Trustpilot, Net Promoter Score, app stores, and etc. So my job is there to make sure that the customer is always heard. And the next thing is why I think this role is very important, that there is a very popular opinion, and I get into the discussions, people saying, well, I think in the future, customer support should not exist because the product should be self-explanatory. And while this vision sounds very nice, I think that the customer support will exist further, and I don't see an end in the near future, because there is a moment when you need the help, and no matter how good a product is, there is a moment where you actually need the help. You don't understand something, or something gets broken, or we are financial institutions, so we might ask you some documents and etc. And I do call those moments, that matter. Like, this is the moments when you as a customer, you as a person, get to know the values of the company. So what they stand for, how they look at you as a customer, and etc. So I do see my role as advocating and make sure that the moment when customer needs help is integral part of the whole customer experience, like of the whole product journey. It's not a separated part. It's not a cost center, but it's actual part of the full experience that our customers have.
I think you made such a good point. Customer service isn't only about helping a customer. Yes, that's important. If someone's having an issue transferring money or getting money, that needs to be solved right then, right now. But I think that another layer to that is you get that feedback, and you get to go back to the tech team or the product team and sit them down being like, hey, I think this could be a great idea, or why don't we add this product, or have we tried it like this? And you kind of come in at a completely different angle. And I think that, if anything, that just keeps on helping your product evolve.
That's a very valid point, and this is exactly what's happening in TransferGo. We do have a very strong cross-functional collaboration. So we do have sessions where our customer support specialists talk with the product managers. Another angle is that I think what is important in leadership role of the customer support is also to make sure that once you talk with the organization, you represent not only customer support, but rather connect with the bigger picture. So if you hear customers saying something, so what does it mean? Does it mean they are more likely to churn in the future and not use product anymore? Do we have more customers who actually didn't contact customer support? So I think this cross collaboration, taking those qualitative insights into more measured and data driven pain points or the problem statements, it's a game changer on, constantly improving your product and addressing and making it just, ever better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. I find your story so inspiring, specifically because I know many people in my life that work at call centers, and often they feel like there is not much room to grow. What is the next step for those wanting career progression? Is there anything you recommend they do?
Well, I can only comment from my own experience. And I think, first of all, I would suggest to be curious and try to learn more, and not to limit yourself only, well, this is what I'm responsible for, but try to learn, on why customers behave in one or another way, and then to collaborate, share your ideas, be vocal, be advocate of the customer. I honestly believe that if company is customer centric, so then every voice that represents a customer experience should be heard. So be brave, first of all. Now, secondly, I do like this saying that, career happens outside working hours. And what it means for me is that, be curious not only during the work time, but, spend some time knowing what are the key trends happening, reflect how you could propose those key trends to be adopted, in your team or the whole department. Focus on the skills that might help you in the next role. So I don't think there is a golden key on how to progress in your career. But I think curiosity, being vocal, and being open to also hear a different opinion, reflect on different opinion, and not just being, strict on this is what I would like to do, could really help for others. And also use opportunities. I talk with the people, and I always surprised that people think that in customer services, the only path is you join as a customer support specialist, then you become a team leader, then you become a manager, then you become a director, VP, and it's not a path. Like, customer services is such a wide area.
What other options would you say they have?
Well, I can give my example. I used to be a training and quality manager. I used to be competence and development team lead. I also worked in HR for 2 years, like in human resources or people experience department, focusing on employee experience, applying all the knowledge from contact centers, from customer services in how to build more employee experience focus, human resources department. So I think there is a plenty of options. It's just, I think we have to be open for those. As an example, we are entering the age where digital customer services is more and more relevant, and more companies. And I do believe that, number of companies understand now that, digital experience is not only adding a bot or a technical solution, but it's just how to make sure that technologies work together with customer support specialists to deliver best support experience. So an example, we have an automation lead specifically in our customer support area. So we also have learning and development specialists in our department, to make sure that we focus not only on hard skills like the product knowledge, but we also provide people ability to learn new soft skills like how to deal with uncertainty in work environment and etc. So
that's incredible.
So there are many opportunities, and I think it's totally okay to move away from customer services area and then come back, because that the whole experience from the different area, that also very valuable. Like for me, working with employee experience, that was also a game changer. I came back to the customer services knowing that from now on, when we talk about customer experience, first of all, we will start talking with how our people feeling working with us. Do they have the right tools? Do they have the right environment? Do they feel empowered to make decisions? And I think that's the key. And for me, working in the people side, like in human resources, that was very valuable experience.
I try and encourage people to have conversations with as many of their peers or managers or family members or somebody you look up to, a mentor, and just get advice. I'd say even more so with your manager, just pull your manager inside saying, listen, I would like to grow. What do you recommend? I've had that conversation many times in my career, and that's the only reason I am where I am today, is because I'm like, I'm hungry to learn. Throw me into a different department. Like, I'm always the first to put up my hand. If it's about finance, I'll be like, can you teach me? Like, teach me why we're doing it like this. And I think that when you make your manager aware that you are eager to grow, like, they're going to encourage you to do that,
Yeah, that's an excellent advice. Wouldn't add anything to what you just said. That's an excellent advice.
What would you say you look for in somebody as a call center agent? Like, when you look at somebody like, wow, this is a star, I would like to promote that person. Like, what are the qualities that you look for?
Oh, that's a good one. I think it is vital working in the customer support to be a person that enjoys help another person. So I think the empathy for me is the key. Then the other thing is, I already mentioned, but curiosity, because I believe that brings a lot of opportunities. So, once the person starts to be curious, what are other ways, how other companies are doing. I do love listening podcasts from other companies sharing their experience and try to apply.
Yeah.
And I do expect my team to do the same, to find time to check, on how we could do differently things. Because I do love the saying, if you do the things that you've done, you will get, the result that you had.
Results, yeah.
So for me, it's curiosity and empathy are the key things. I'm not looking for, there is saying, hire people for motivation, like very motivated people who are with burning eyes and willing to do everything. Well, what I learned in life, that motivation is the thing that easily goes away. So I'm rather looking for empathy. In the long run, that what I learned, turns out to be a better criteria for customer services.
I can't remember what business it was, but I was calling, I needed support with something, and I was chatting to this person, and they were like, wait, where are you from? Because they could hear that my accent didn't match the country that I was currently living in. And it was for one of those moments I'm like, wait, this is a human being at the end of the phone. And I feel like it's so often that you don't feel that human connection. And it was one of those moments where I trusted that person then even more. And we ended up speaking about something that didn't have to do with my problem, but in turn, I shared with them my problem more, and the support became better because it didn't feel like, even though I know it's not a robot, sometimes it's just hard to understand that there's a person that you're speaking with. It was a moment I will never forget. I was like, this person is brilliant at their job, and you can tell they just enjoyed it. They didn't feel like it was like a mission to have to talk to you or solve your problem. They were really eager, and you could hear that, and I love that. And
for me, once again, such a nice example. And I had a different experience, and and when your moment is more, you won't forget that moment when you felt the connection. So I was working in an electricity power company, and we used to work, based on the script. So let's imagine you don't have electricity power for 2 days. You are calling, and I need just to follow the script.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what is the context. I just need to follow the script. And coincidence, my grandmother didn't have electricity, and I was taking the calls, and I realized I'm talking with my grandmother. And we ended up having the same conversation I would have with every customer. So I couldn't, I was not able to say like, hey, don't worry, it's me, Povilas, everything's going to be fine. Because otherwise I would, get less paid that month, because I would not, would not reach a quality level the way that company describes. So I think that's two very different experience, but at the end of the day, that gives the same understanding that ability for people working in customer services, feeling that they can connect with another person who needs customer support is very important.
I love that story. Povilas, thank you so much for being on this episode and sharing all your insights. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was a very nice conversation, Stacey. And thanks so much.
Where's the best place for listeners to reach you?
Well, I think LinkedIn is the best place. LinkedIn would be the best.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Talking Success, Connecting the Global FinTech Community. Feel free to follow us on LinkedIn at Talent in the Cloud. And if you're interested in exec talent, expanding your team, or you yourself are looking for a new, exciting change in your career, check out our website, talentinthecloud.io.